Okay, so we had an amazing Zoom this morning. I'm going to pass this over to Morgan, my friend Morgan. She's a Sapphire ambassador. We've combined with Team Revive and Live Bigger team, and it's just going to be the best thing ever this month. I absolutely love all of those ladies so much. But we did a power hour this morning. Some of you were on it, and here is what we heard. Number one, 3,000 inactive people that had not ordered from Plexus this year came in and ordered the reset box when it launched. That's incredible. Number two, Plexus set really big goals for how many reset boxes they were going to sell. Actually, they got lofty. They were like, let's dream big. We smashed it. We went way past it. We absolutely nailed it. And that's with 1 week out of June, we were selling reset boxes, and look what that did to the pay point. I can't even, okay? And the last thing I was going to tell you is, and I thought this was the best part, he said, less than 10% of companies make it past their first year. Out of that 10%, less than 3% will ever make it to $100 million in annual revenue. And out of that 3%, less than 1% will ever achieve 500 million. And Plexus has done all of that. So if that doesn't give you just all the belief in the world and make you think, man, I did such a good job picking the right company. And if you really want to get deep about it, maybe someone else picked it for you and you're walking in the path that's been laid out before you. That's kind of a fun thought. So I'm going to press mute. Morgan's going to go ahead and get started. We're doing a 10 minutes of training, 10 minutes about coaching, and 10 minutes of testimony. So inspiration. I'm going to stop talking, Morgan. I promise. Bye.
You are awesome. I am thrilled to be here. Like she said, my name is Morgan Johnson. I'm a Sapphire ambassador. I have 4 amazing kiddos. I'm a ministry wife. Just to introduce myself to all of you guys that I don't know. And I am so excited to talk to you guys about consistency, because I feel like it is the secret sauce of how I became successful in this business. And as I've been listening to trainings, reading books, it seems like a whole lot of other people think it's a pretty big deal too. Raise your hand if you have heard the phrase, consistency is key. All of us have heard that, right? Well, there is so much truth to that, and I want to dive into that a little bit more. I love the quote that says, success doesn't come from what you do occasionally, it comes from what you do consistently. So what does consistency bring? Why do we need consistency? Well, it brings credibility to us as people. Like when we're a consistent human being in life, it's going to bring credibility to who we are. Do we do what we say that we're going to do? And do we do it on a consistent basis? It's going to bring confidence in our own lives. Guys, I've done this for 6 years now, and I started out really accidentally. And how I started out is because I was consistent. I was consistent with my supplements first, secretly. Then when they were working for me, I felt like the Lord kind of nudged me to share. I'm like, Lord, I'm not sure if this is you, but this is what I'll do. If it is you, I'm going to post once a day for a year, and we'll see where this thing goes. This is what I did. Krista Deary taught me really well. I posted, I plugged them into an info page, and I set them up with a 3-way message with her. And I accidentally had a business at the end of it. But why was I successful? Because I showed up every single day, and then I plugged them into a system and a page that we already had, and then I messaged them, right? We now call that the ATM method, add, tag, message. That's what I did for my first year when I didn't want a business, wasn't really sure if that was really what the Lord said, but it built confidence in me and myself and in the business and in the supplements, because I was watching friends and family try these supplements. Teresa Bonzalaro, one of my really good friends, is on this call. She took the products and I hid from her because I wasn't actually sure that they worked. So I was back in the church nursery hiding, and she came and found me and was like, Morgan, I was jumping in worship. I'm out of pain. And it started to build confidence in me, like, hey, these supplements, they actually work. And so does the business, and these people want it. So when you give yourself the gift of consistency, you're going to see that in this business and in these supplements. So if you don't have that belief there yet, borrow it from me, from Jen, from any other leader, because we believe in these supplements and this companies. So once you get that belief deep down inside of you and you stay consistent, the sky is the limit. And then when you're consistent, you have compounded results. If you have not read the book, The Compound Effect, I highly suggest that you get the book and you read it, because it's mind blowing what that book talks about and how it explains the compound effect. Guys, spoiler alert, network marketing is all about that compound effect. Small decisions that we do on a daily basis that leads to maximum huge results, right? But the key there is to focus on things that you can measure and those gains that you can measure, because that's going to encourage you for the long term. What do I mean by that? Okay, if somebody has a salary, somebody's leaving that 8 to 5 and they want to leave this salary, they might get 4,000 every single month. Okay, they're getting 4,000 every month. And when you start out with Plexus, you're not getting any money, right? Let's hope you go fast start silver. Okay, if you go fast start silver, you're going to make $300. Praise the Lord. Okay, so then you're doing work. 2 to 3 months later, you get a check for 1,000. What is the percentage raise from your 300 to your 1,000? That's a pretty big percent raise, because your friend who stayed at the 8 to 5 and is still making that $4,000 every month, their percentage was 0, right? It was 0. But the person who went from 300 to 1,000, that was a pretty big margin of growth. So if you focus on that, then long term, it's huge. I think the compound effect used 5,000 as the baseline, and then watch this person jump up, and they were making like 2 million in X amount of years, and somebody else was still making that same 60,000 every single year. If you knew that your results were going to, your consistent activity was going to produce results that compounded in that way, don't you think you would buy in? You would be like, sign me up, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, guess what? You can do it. I'm going to talk to you about what should you be doing every single day consistently that will help you be successful in network marketing. If you're brand new, you have that motivation, but maybe you've been around for a little bit and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Motivation is going to get you going, but the consistency and the discipline is what's going to keep you on that track and going. John Maxwell, I'm a huge fan of John Maxwell. Guess what he attributes all of his success to? Consistency. He has an amazing teaching on the law of consistency, and he has different reasons that fuel him for being consistent. He talks about successful people typically get successful after they've done something 10,000 times or more. How many of you guys can say you've done something 10,000 times? I don't know that I've done a whole lot of things 10,000 times. But the thing is, when you look at a jewel on a stage and you're like, I want to be a jewel, guess what you should see in them? Consistency, that they have done things over and over and over again that you can do too. They've heard no more than you. They've not given up, and they have put a backbone to their why. That is where you have to start. Why are you doing this? Kind of establish, what are your values, right? What's your value system and why are you doing this? I don't care if you've been in this for one day or if you've been in this for a long time. I don't care if you're a silver ambassador or you're a diamond. You need something that fuels you, that gets you up out of the bed every single day. We talk about that why, and John Maxwell talked about a why power. We all know we have a will, right? And willpower, but he talks about the why power is going to fuel you a whole lot farther than willpower ever can. So make sure you have established why you're doing this, and what are your values? What are your daily actions that you're doing? Do they line up with your values and your why? What kind of impact do you want to live? Because it's bigger than supplements, right? Why do you want to see people healthy? Where are they going? What do you want to see in your family and in the people's lives around you that will continue to allow you to do the things that you don't want to do on the days you don't want to do them? You can look at that why and say, I'm going to do this because of that. So what should we be doing consistently in our business? First, we should be focusing on self-growth. Sometimes we look at like, oh, I'm not like her, I can't do this, she already had a network. Those are all excuses that you can throw in the trash can, because I can give you somebody who has done it. There's been everything: small town girl, big girl, small girl, man, woman, young, old, all the things. That's just an excuse. Focus on yourself and think, would I want to join myself? Am I building a team that is attracted to the leader that I am? If the answer is no, then you focus right there on self-growth. And when you're growing yourself as a leader, you're building credibility in areas that you didn't know that you could. I'm constantly growing, hopefully until the day that I'm dying. I am growing to be a better person and who God wanted me to be. So you want to focus on self-growth. This is not a training every day. That's the second thing. The second thing would be watching a training every day. Self-growth is books. Jen Leith is leading a book club. There's book clubs that Plexus does. You can get an Audible. There are tons of resources out there. The Compound Effect is a great place to start. But focusing on self-growth would be devotions, prayer, journaling, whatever you want to do. That's your self-growth. So you're going to build credibility. Then you watch a training every single day. There are trainings that are 10 minutes and there's trainings that are an hour. You can break it up, but please do not use an excuse to not watch a training, because you can do it. I am ridiculously busy and I have 4 kids, 9 and under. Okay. You can do it too. I promise. Do it while you're doing laundry, dishes, getting ready, going to the bathroom, driving in the car. You can watch a training and there are tons of things out there for you, but this is going to build belief and it's going to build confidence in yourself. Almost everything I did initially in my business was regurgitated from trainings that I watched daily. I made that a habit very early on. So I kind of looked like I knew what I was talking about. And I still do it to this day. Watching a training, Plexus, Peeps, put them out. I have all my faves that are on there and new people that come in. YouTube is full of trainings. Plexus has trainings. Watch a training every single day. Post every day. This is your open sign. This is like, I am open. I have so many people who come to me and I'm like, did you know that your sister sells Plexus? No, I didn't, because she's not posting anymore. Post every single day and allow Plexus to be a part of your day. Don't do those spammy business posts, or like, you want to make it relational. I'm sitting at a park and maybe my pink drink is right there. I'm in my story mixing up my pink drink as I'm talking to them. How did a Plexus supplement help you sleep or get you through your day? Incorporate it into your day and share things that you love. Don't be too crazy. Consistently talk about your passions and your followers will follow that too. Build relationship every day. We're in a relationship marketing business. You have to show people that you care. And when they know that you care, the sale will be a whole lot easier. Check your back office every single day. I feel like this is something that people skip over. I love to look at my points and see a point growth within the day. That means it's not a subscription. We need to get in the habit of getting into our back office every single day. And that's a way we can measure growth. We want to measure growth monthly, but I love to measure my growth daily. How many points do you want to grow on a daily basis? And then you're not panicking at the end of the month. And that builds momentum. All right, I'm going to hand it back over to Jen Leith and she's going to take it away.
That was great, because I have heard this and I felt this. I have nothing to offer. I've had that thought. I have nothing to offer. And one of the tips from the top videos, and I think it was Christina Williams, she said something and I felt like, oh, that hurt, but also I liked it. She said, if you don't think you have something to offer, then go get something to offer. Work on yourself. Become someone that can serve other people with the skills that you have now taught yourself. So if that doesn't motivate you to do personal growth and development, I don't know what else will. Like, we're not trying to become better just to say I'm better. We're becoming better so we can help more people, serve more people. It's just a mindset shift. So we're going to talk about coaching really quick. This is a topic that sometimes really bothers people because of the whole idea of thinking you have nothing to offer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link here in the chat, and you're going to grab it and copy it and save it somewhere. This is one of my favorite videos that describes how to coach, and it kind of walks you through different parts of coaching. But let's talk about what coaching is and what it isn't. And Morgan's going to kind of help me with this. But one of the things that every single person in Plexus can do to help aid their business, to help grow their team, is take the time to hop on the phone with someone that you've signed up that says they want the business. Maybe they've gotten to silver. Maybe they haven't even quite gotten there. They've gotten 2 people. Hop on the phone and say, hey, let's talk for 20 minutes. This is called a coaching call. And what that means is I'm just going to ask you some questions and you're going to come up with the answers. So when you get on these calls, you're really trying to identify maybe something that's holding them back, maybe a fear that they have, maybe there's something that they don't even have a clear vision or a goal for what they're doing this for. Maybe they're not willing to admit how much they really need it, or maybe there's so much there and there's so many great questions. So make sure you watch that video. Morgan, what would you say coaching is and what coaching is not?
That's a great question. So for me, I love to coach my runners, if you will, or those who want the business. So if somebody comes and says, hey, I want the business, then I love to lead them in a relational way. So you're asking the hard questions, you're helping them develop that why and getting to the root of the issue of why are they here? What do they want? What's their motivations? And then a lot of times as you're listening, I think coaching is a lot of listening and asking the harder questions. And as you're listening, you're hearing objections and things that you can speak into. And it's also calling the leadership out of people. I remember thinking, I'm not really good at coaching. And then I realized I'm doing coaching in relationship, and that's what people need. I think coaching is not micromanaging. It's not making people do what you want them to do and to look like little robots of you as the leader. No, it's helping thrust them into the calling that God has on their life for their specific team. And what does it look like for them? And how can you call them deeper and higher in what they're doing for their team? You're muted.
I knew that, Morgan. Earlier, oh my goodness, my computer was muted. And so Travis Garza was on the call and I thought I couldn't hear anybody, but it was really just my problem. Okay. Anyways, so I like the way that you describe coaching, because one of the things that I'm afraid to do, I think a lot of people are afraid to do, is I don't want to get a call with somebody that's like, I've tried everything, it's not working, or I don't know, and nobody's saying yes. It actually creates a lot of anxiety because we think we have to have this magic answer. There must be some secret element that we got to discover it. And the truth is, if you just follow the coaching model, you're going to be able to help someone discover what it is that's holding them back, or maybe some action item, especially what Morgan shared earlier, posting every day, getting into your virtual office every day, setting goals. So let's just say each week you decide that you want to do a coaching call, and you may be a gold ambassador and think, I don't know, like, should I be doing this? Why not? You can even coach yourself. So let's say you set up a call with someone that's joined your team. They've already shared, they've upgraded to brand ambassador. You're going to hop on this first call. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you have a notebook. So every time you meet with someone that you're coaching, you're writing down some notes, because there's nothing more valuable to someone that gets on a call with you and you say, hey, remember when you told me X, Y, and Z? That makes them feel appreciated, heard. It also makes you feel kind of like a boss, like a little bit of a businesswoman. I don't know. That makes me feel really good when I have this notebook and I'm like, as we discussed on the previous meeting, it just makes you feel cool. So I would encourage you to write these things down. The first call is probably going to be the question of, what would an extra $1,000, what would an extra $5,000 do for your family? What this does is allow people to start dreaming, and then it helps you to kind of identify what their why could be. What if they said to you, Well, I guess it would mean that my husband wouldn't have to work overtime anymore. Or I guess that would mean that maybe my kids, we could go on an actual real vacation. Using those answers, you can drive down to maybe it's they want to create special moments. My friend Sarah Marble, she's on here. Her why is very much about creating moments, creating memories for her family. And that is what pushes her to want to create more success in her business. Everyone's going to have a why that might sound similar, but you have to really kind of dial in with that. So you're going to ask the why. You're also going to want to get into the nuts and the bolts. And that might not be something fun for you, but it is essential, because if you don't have a target that you actually can see, then you're just randomly shooting arrows everywhere. So it may be, okay, well, let's talk about this. In the next week, how many people would you like to talk to? How many messages would you like to send? What sounds realistic for you? And go ahead, write it down like the businesswoman that you are. Okay, you want to talk to 3 people this week. How many times did you want to post today? Okay, you want to post 1 time a day? Okay, great. And how many points would you like to grow by the end of this month? How many points would you think would be good? And we would write that down. And how many silvers would you like to create? They might say 1, or maybe they'll say, what's a silver? There's all of these conversations, but you're writing this down. So now we've done their why, we've set up some personal goals, and then we're going to make a plan. And this is the part that you might think, I don't know what to tell them to do. And the answer is, yes, you do. There are so many resources in the Plexus back office. There is that 64 worksheet. If you print that off, it has everything that you would want to do. There's the perfect week in Plexus that Christina Williams shared from the Tips from the Top. There's so much that you could give them. You could send them anything that you want. That is going to steer them in the right direction. So you can help them make a plan. Maybe that they said they wanted to post once a day. All right, well, let's go ahead and come up with a plan for that. Can you go ahead and think of 7 topics, and I can sit here and write them down with you? And it might be, well, I think I should post about my family. Okay, maybe one day I'll post about how much better I'm sleeping. You help them kind of come up with that formula. The more they grow in the company, the more leadership they have. You won't have to get into those many nuts and bolts, but you will want to write down the goals because it keeps them accountable. I started the reset again today for the 3rd time. First time, nailed it. Amazing. Second time, I got to day 2 and I made my tomato soup and I went over to the stove and I put chili inside of it and I didn't finish day 3. Okay. So this is my 3rd time doing the reset. And today I kept going back and forth and, I just want to eat and I want to do this or that. And I knew that if I did this in the dark, if I did this without any awareness, I would just give up. But because I put it in my stories and I said, I promise I will go into my stories every day and share everything I'm taking and what I'm drinking and what I think about it, that kept me accountable. And as a reward for that accountability and consistency, I had 2 people message me and say, I think I want to try the reset you were talking about in your stories today. So I'm going to tell you that as you grow in your leadership and these coaching calls that you're doing, you are going to start to see people holding themselves to a higher standard. You're going to start to see people learning how to set goals. And here's the best part. Everything you do with these people, they will now go and do with their people. And if you can create a system of duplication with coaching, you have absolutely created the strongest foundation for business. Do you want to know that Brittany Howard, Fallon Reeve, that team that I look to and I think, gosh, they have so much fortitude. That's the word I think of. I think of strength. I think of building on the right foundation. They are coachers. That is their big secret sauce. We coach people. And that doesn't mean you have to have the answers. So just to recap that before I pass this over to my friend Sarah, who's going to tell you her Plexus story. This is the inspiration part. You're going to set goals with these people. You're going to find out their why. You're going to take notes. You're going to come up with a plan. And at the end of your call, I want you to remember, set a time amount for this. Don't give them an hour. 20 minutes sounds good to me. If they don't do what they say they want to do, and the next time you get on the call and they haven't done it, you postpone the calls. You say, we're going to postpone these calls until you do what we talked about on that first call, and we'll get back together. Your time is so valuable. That's something that you absolutely have the right to set boundaries with. So I'm going to pass this over to my friend Sarah, who is a new Emerald Ambassador. She also won the, I want to say the Star is Bright Award, but that's not right. Catch Them Shining. The Catch Them Shining Award at convention. She was on stage because she loves to serve people. So you're going to love hearing her story. I'm going to mute and stop talking.
And I almost forgot to unmute. So first part of my product testimony, look at this hair. Our collagen works. I made a post on my page, like I've got a total 1990s Nick Carter look going on. But anyway, let me go back to my notes. I was taking notes. That was so great. Here it is. Okay. I wish Alita was on here because I'm a total Alita fangirl right now. She put out a song a few years ago called Grateful Daughter, and I've had it on repeat. And I know she wrote that at that time out of a place of her own grief, and it is speaking to me right now because I've been pulled out of everything that she sings about in that song. I just want to read you a few lyrics that came out of that song. It says, "You saw me," you talking about God, "crying out to my creator. You saw me broken apart, begging for relief. You saw me with fear holding me down like chains I couldn't break. You saw the tears drowning me out, the wounds like stripes on my back." And then there's a part in the song that says, "I couldn't hide the anguish inside from my healer, the torment ready to take me down." So I'm going to get to that part of my testimony in just a minute. I want to go over like the basic part of my testimony, things that will relate to everybody. I had so much fatigue, you guys, that I sat down to put my makeup on every day because like I didn't have the energy to stand there and put on a face to go out and act like a normal person in the world. Multiple cups of coffee all morning, coffee at 2 o'clock until bedtime, just to survive, naps all the time. Like, guys, mommy just needs a nap. You take care of yourself, good luck. I was always afraid that I would fall asleep in the car with my kids, driving them home. It was craziness. And I think about this all now, and it blows my mind. I've been with Plexus for 3 years in April. So 3 years of, I just can't even put it into words. So back to the part that will relate to this song, so much anxiety. I hated being alone. I hated being alone because the thoughts were tormenting. I live in a very rural area, so to drive to work, it was half an hour, and that was the worst time of my day. The 30 minutes that I had to be alone with my thoughts. I soaked shirts with sweat because I had so much anxiety. There were times that I would call my husband and ask him to bring me a clean shirt because I had ruined the shirt that I was wearing that day at work. Depression, I would lay on the floor and I would cry, and I didn't know why. It was really just a lot of self-loathe, just why am I like this? And nobody ever knew what kind of day Sarah was going to have. People would approach me at family gatherings and be like, "Is today a good day? Like, are you reasonable? Can you be talked to today?" And when I tell you that I screamed at my family, like my kids, I was an awful person. It was awful. I screamed at my kids. I didn't want to talk to my husband. I didn't want to touch my husband. I didn't want my husband to touch me. I didn't want anybody to love me. I don't want you to, don't care about me. Like, we started a new church during this time, a church. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm a preacher's wife, feeling like this. Okay. So we started a new church at this time, loving people, and they want to hug me. And I'm like, don't touch me, just those kinds of things. And we got to a point, because it was cyclical. It came with my menstrual cycle. You could guarantee about 7 to 10 days before a period came that Sarah was going to be a psychopath. And it was legit. And we got to where we could track it. And then we got to where we couldn't track it because it was so consistent and it was all the time. But anyway, I would lay on my floor and I would just sob and I'd cry because I don't know what's wrong with me. I would text my husband from the floor and be like, "Hey, can you just come pray with me? Because I don't know what's going on right now." And then it got to the point where I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to take care of my family, and I don't want to be here anymore. I knew exactly how I would end my life, where I would end it, the note I would write to my family, all of the details. I knew everything that I would do. And I never acted on anything, but I kept that to myself for a while. But then I remember the night I told my husband, and absolutely broke his heart. Like, we've got to do something here. I spent all of our money on tests, on MRIs of the brain, of all the lab work, of all the everything. I did everything. I was spending all of our money on doctors and supplements that would work for a minute and then they wouldn't work anymore. Don't ask me how I got in a Plexus testimony group. I have no idea. Somebody probably like mass added me to something at some point, but I was seeing these testimonies and I was seeing my friend Heather share things. My friend now, she wasn't my friend at the time, just on Facebook. And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, yo, here's my list of problems. I sound like a crazy person. Can this gut health stuff help me? And she was kind of like, let me get back to you on that. Let me find out. But I told her, I was like, I have no other options. I've tried everything. Nothing has worked. And if this doesn't work, like whatever, oh, well, I don't care because nothing else has either. So I'll get back to you kind of thing, you know. That's why your follow-up with your potential customers is so important, because Heather followed up, not sleazy, not slimy, just as a friend. And I finally said yes. I started in April of 2019. Within a couple of weeks, I started noticing, oh, I slept all night and I woke up before my alarm clock. Oh, that's cool, because that hasn't happened in years. I noticed the inflammation in my face had gone down, the inflammation around my tummy. In the first month, I lost like 2 or 3 inches around my waist. And then it was just month after that, I started noticing, oh my gosh, a period came and I didn't lose my mind. Did you notice that? You know, talking to my husband, and it's like, oh, what if this really works? So 3 months later, I added Vital Biome. I started with Triplex, and I haven't missed a day in over 3 years. Like, and I will never miss a day. Never, ever, ever. And I'm completely, I don't know, it's so overwhelming what a blessing these products were. And then when products start working, you have to share it, right? Heather had asked me, hey, will you make a post? Or, you know, have you ever thought about sharing and maybe getting your products paid for? No, not going to happen. Let me at least get my own testimony first, and then I might, we'll see. So I made a post one day. I was like, let me just do this and see what's going to happen. Okay. Let me go back to my product testimony. I don't know how many people on here are believers, but I am. I felt drawn to these products. Like, I have to give this a try. So we ordered it, and it was a financial burden at the time. We ordered the products and we covered it in prayer. This has to work because nothing else has. We're on our last leg. So I made a post one day. I was like, let me just see what's going to happen. And then all these people start commenting, like, what are you doing? And it was a simple post, just like with my pink drink, like, hey, let's see what this gut health thing is all about. People start commenting, and I messaged Heather, who had no idea that I was going to make a post, and I'm like, help, I don't know what to say to these people. So I went silver. I went back and looked at all of this today just to be sure. I went silver in April, the month that I started. I went super silver before senior silver was a legit rank. I went super silver in May. I went gold in August and earned leaders retreat. Went to San Diego, knowing no one, not even knowing what in the world I was doing in this business, but hey, I got a free trip. Let's go. Let's see what it's all about. I got senior gold in December of that same year. I fell back a couple of months from that, and then I hit ruby in June of 2020 when, you know what was going on and everybody was concerned about their health. I maintained that for 2 months. I fell back and I hit it one more month, and I didn't hit ruby again for a year. For a solid year, from October to October, I did not hit ruby points again. I hit ruby points again in October of 21, and I'll tell you a couple of things that I did in this time frame. I hit ruby again in October. I hit senior ruby in December, and there's 2 major things that I think, that I know that I did during that time. I joined the coaching call that Jennifer and Alita were doing. Changed everything. It was totally inconvenient for me at the time, like the time of day that it was, because I homeschool and we go to the library for story time on Mondays, and that was my daughter's story time. I would send her to story time. I had a new baby, so I would nurse this new baby while I had, propped up at a public library computer watching this coaching, and it was amazing. And then I went to the Daring to Be Diamond that they did in Nashville, and that changed everything. And that was the first time I left my new baby. I left her for the whole day. I had to go hide in the bathroom and pump and do all these things. Again, it was totally inconvenient, for my life at that time. But I was like, if this is going to work, I have to do these things. So you have to do these things. So Senior Ruby in December, Emerald in April on the 3-year month anniversary. And it's just been such a blessing. And I didn't know when God handed me these products as a tool, he was going to say, you have to tell the story because I'm going to do so much more than you even know. Stop crying, Jennifer. But it's just been so amazing. I live in a place, guys, called Turtletown, Tennessee. You never heard of it? No, because it's this big. It's this big. You are not limited by your zip code. I live in it's as far southeast as you can be in Tennessee. My team goes to Hawaii, my team goes to California, my team is all over this country, and you are not limited. The only limitations that you have, they're imaginary, because you can do anything that you want. So in March, I ended March with 1,168 points. Our certain favorite redhead sent me a message and said, hey, I think your green month is April. And I was like, and I think you're crazy because I'm planning for it to be like June or July. And she's like, no, I think it's April. And so we did it and we did it. I have the most amazing team. I really do. I'm so thankful. But just do it. And you have to ask yourself, just like they've told you, how bad do you want this? How much are you willing to show up? Steward this business well, and it will prosper because it has, and I'm proof of it. And you know, if I'd given up in that year when I wasn't maintaining Ruby points, I would have never gotten here. But it is worth it, and it's worth it to keep going and to never give up and to do the things. You have to show up, and you have to know that you're worth it, and your business is worth it, and your team is worth it. Even if you have one person, they're worth it for you to show up every single day. There's my soapbox.
Oh my gosh. You know, I asked, as soon as I thought about doing a testimony on this call, I said, God, who do you want me to ask to do a testimony? And it was just immediate. Sarah, ask Sarah. And as you started talking, I feel like it was someone named Misty, and I'm not asking her to talk, but she said something that when you immediately started sharing your story, she said, this is exactly what I'm battling right now. And so if it was just for that, I think that's just one of the most beautiful things ever. And I could just bawl my eyes out because each part of our stories, Sarah's story, Morgan's story, my story, somebody had to play a role in it. Someone had to reach out. Someone had to say something. Someone had to organize there had to be action by another person. So why not you? Why couldn't it be you that does an action that makes a big forever difference for someone else? I just can't even believe that we get to partner money, finances, income with this type of business. It's the best. So Sarah, thank you always for being so vulnerable. I know that's not an easy story to share, but also know that if you don't share it, people that like Misty that said that she's struggling with that won't know that there's hope on the other side. And what I also love is that this is seriously just science. It's gut health. This is actually part of fixing the mess that our bodies are based upon this American diet and all of the environment and all of these things. This isn't like some psychosomatic thing that's happening. We're actually really helping making bodies stronger. And the stronger the body is, the better you feel. And the better you feel, the more that you're out there in the world doing the good that you were created to do. So, Morgan, do you have anything else you want to say? Okay, this was fun. I can't wait to do it again. And I will make sure that the passcode actually works. It's smaller for next Monday, but that was amazing. I will post the recording on my YouTube channel and I'll send it to Morgan so she can put it on her team page. Thank you all so much for being on. And thank you again, Sarah. Just love you to pieces. See you in Hawaii. Not Turtletown. Bye.